Joining me is California Congressman Adam Schiff, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, who has said it is unfair to go after Rice for information given to her by the CIA. Welcome. I'm glad to have you, Representative Schiff.
It's great to be with you, Alex.
So your take on the Ambassador Rice's chance of being nominated and then approved as Secretary of State by the Senate, is this all worth it to the President?
Well, you know, I think she would be an extraordinary Secretary of State, and if the President decides that she would best serve his administration and the American people, by all means he ought to go forward and nominate her, and I think she'd be confirmed. It wouldn't be a slam dunk, but I think she's an extraordinarily strong candidate and would be confirmed. And when you look at criticism of her, it is so completely unjustified. No one is critiquing her record as UN ambassador at the UN, where she helped organize some of the strongest sanctions on Iran in history, where she helped marshal the international community to go after and depose Muammar Gaddafi. She's had a phenomenal record, and the only criticism of her is that she relied on talking points provided by the intelligence community. And that seems to me patently unfair when the director of the CIA and the director of national intelligence both thought that these were an accurate summary of what we knew at the time. To criticize her for that just seems a very slender read. So I think the President ought to go forward if that is his choice.
I want to bring forth to you, though, what Republican Senator Lindsey said this morning about the Benghazi raid and President Obama. Here it is.
We know every detail of the bin Laden raid. We have photos of him commanding the moment. We don't know anything about what he did on September the 11th when it comes to Benghazi. And if he ordered these people to be helped and the answer was there's nothing we can do, what did he say about it? Was he mad?
Is this true? And do you think Republicans are going too far?
Well, I really don't understand the criticism. You know, here is the question, you know, what did the President know about Benghazi vis-a-vis the UN ambassador, of course, that really has no relation to her qualifications to be Secretary of State. And, you know, I think the GOP has had this really nagging complaint that there was too much information given about the bin Laden raid, and it reflected too well on the President. They can't criticize the fact that the administration went after and successfully did something that President Bush was unable to do, and that is hunt down bin Laden and bring him to justice. So they have to criticize how much information has been released about the operation. I don't think it's justified, and I think it is, you know, allowed a sour political grapes. But all of this has been just a tremendous distraction from really what we ought to be focused on, and that is, where are we in the hunt for killers? Where are we in the hunt for people who killed our ambassador? And bringing them to justice. And in an ordinary course of events in a non-presidential election year, that would be our sole focus. So we really ought to get back to that.
Well, let's hope no one has taken their eye off of that, because that, you're absolutely right, is the most important thing right now. I want to switch topics with you, Congressman, go to the fiscal cliff, because the President's proposal did not get a positive reception from Republicans in the House, to say the least. How much harder does that make it to reach a deal?
You know, it really doesn't make it any more difficult. I think we are seeing the usual choreography of negotiations where the parties start out with their opening positions. And, you know, I think what the Speaker doesn't like is that he is in a very weak position on this issue. He needs to have a heart-to-heart discussion with his conference and say, look, we lost the election. In fact, more broadly than that, we've lost on this issue. The American people are not with us on this issue. They think those that have done very well over the last 10 years can be asked to do a little bit more. We're going to have to give. And I think the challenge for the President is to know how much he needs to give to the Speaker to allow the speakers to sell that to their conference, his own conference.
I've got to bet, though, that all of you that are watching have ideas on where the middle ground lies, where the compromise might come. Do you have a position on that? Do you see it?
Well, you know, I have certainly some idea of where the compromise could be. The President has set a target for how much new revenue he wants, and you can get a lot of that by raising the rates on those above 250. If you raised the rates but didn't get quite to the Clinton levels, but made up the difference in additional elimination of deductions for high-wage earners, you could get to about the same number and do it in a slightly different way, and therefore the Speaker could claim some credit. The President could get the revenue that we need, the country needs. So there are many ways to skin the cat. I don't think we're going over the cliff. I think you are seeing, as your guest alluded to earlier, the kind of dance that goes on in this negotiation when people don't want to disclose too early what their bottom line is.
So you can say definitively there is no appetite in Congress to go over the fiscal cliff?
You know, there are a few people who are advocating, let's go over the cliff, we'll have stronger bargaining position afterwards, or, you know, my way or the highway, and I'm prepared to go over the cliff. but they're, I think, fairly few in number. Most of us recognize it would be very irresponsible to give the country that kind of an economic body blow. And that, one of the other messages of the election, and indeed I think almost every election, is the American people want us to work together. They want us to get to yes. And it's not like we need some great inspiration from on high. These are very practical questions, and they just require us to reach a reasonable agreement.
All right, Cal.